Oh, we live?
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
hello
there we
everybody. Sorry, a little technical difficulties.
No cold open today.
So we are going to wing it tonight because our
You're not
special
smoking.
guest Bill Nienburg had to go to a very important client dinner today. Bill Nienburg from the Downers Grove Library, the guy that was kicked off by the radical leftist Marxists.
Big story.
Yeah, so we'll have him
National
on again
story.
in the future, but. So we're going to wing it, but we got really important stuff to talk about. Some of you might have saw the Emerald interview yesterday where we're calling out Curran and Mendick, and then we're going to talk about the library as well. We're going to talk about the Hinsdale South High School, or Hinsdale
Well,
South.
Hinsdale School District
D80,
got some
D86 school district.
got some
South Central
Patriot fighters over there right now speaking to the school board.
Yeah, and the union. The Illinois Education Association, who funds John Curran big time, it's one of his top donors. They are over at the school right now requesting that the board is removed because the board won't go along with their woke agenda. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk
They
about
call it a curriculum.
their curriculum. So Curran's taking all this money.
So just get rid of the board.
Yeah. And Curran wouldn't speak out against poor. Now this is one of his top funders, donors. They're over there trying to remove a elected school board because they won't go along with their woke agenda. So either you're a Democrat or Republican, Curran. So do you stand with the parents and the children or the school board? So we'll talk about that a little bit, and I'll pass it off to Paulie.
Yeah, I think in the last couple weeks we've seen, I've been saying on the show since we started that Illinois is a communist state. It's here. It's not like we're in danger of becoming a communist state. It's here. And this is the thing that that bothers me so much is that, people think this is hyperbole, but I've spent hours on this show talking about the different laws that have been enacted in Illinois that are blatantly unconstitutional. But what happens when you have a state like Illinois that is so corrupt, that is a product of 40 years of the Madigan patronage army, and even before that, the Mayor Daley era, where obviously, the 1960 election has always been called into question as being corrupt. When you have that culture of corruption, that culture of political corruption that seeps down year over year, you see what we have now, which is that the Republicans have no political will, they've got no political power, and they have no money. And most importantly, they have no influence. Nobody, as far as the party's concerned, they're not a party. They don't have any influence over their own constituents, let alone legislation or politics in general, right? Which is why I've been saying for a long time that the Democrats are brilliant in the sense that they've shifted what's called the Overton window. So Overton window is basically all it is what's politically acceptable at any given point in time in the zeitgeist or in the culture. And given that they've had this history of corruption and they've been able to take such control, i.e. Daley into the Madigan era, they've shifted the Overton window to the left politically. And the people on the right side of the aisle and the Republicans have shifted with them, and they don't even understand it because it's a cultural phenomenon, right? And it's psychological. And a lot of them are just doing what they need to do in order to stay in power, a la your John Currans, who takes teachers union money and then goes around and advocates for and had voted for Amendment 1. And, I've heard somebody recently talk about how John Curran had lamented to them that, well, they just don't understand, this is how things work, yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, okay, John, but this is how things work when you have no political power or will. Like, we're going to come after the low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit is that you took teachers union money, you wouldn't speak out against the poor in the schools, you advocated for Amendment 1, and folks, just to recap, Amendment 1 is basically a constitutional power for public unions in Illinois, which essentially means they created a fourth branch of government. And now what we're seeing over at Hinsdale in District 86 is that the teachers are mad. The teachers union is mad that they can't implement their woke policy. So what they've decided to do is bull rush the school board of District 86 and try to bully everyone and push them out. They're not getting what they want, so they're going to go against the will of the taxpayer who elected the school board and say we need to get rid of them. They're not the experts. The teachers are the experts. So on top of that, I'll just close with my segment here, Terry. We had something very dangerous happen in Downers Grove last week in the sense that Bill Nienburg was removed from the library board basically for dissent and disagreeableness with his fellow board members. The lone conservative on the board pushing back against things like Drag Queen Story Hour or a woke report that was put out by a racist propagandist who just said in a PowerPoint that all of Downers Grove is racist, including the library, and try to pit the north side of the town versus the south side of the town. And so Bill would speak out against these types of things, and God forbid he'd question the budget. Why are we spending so much money on X, Y, and Z? And so they said that he was a problem. They said that they couldn't work with him. He's not collaborative enough. And one of the village council members emailed another constituent in Downers Grove and said that the problem with Bill Nienburg was that he didn't work to build consensus. And I got up at the meeting last week and I said, like, okay, and this guy was supposedly a conservative. I'm like, okay, well, you don't understand what the essence of our country is. It has nothing to do with consensus. In fact, the whole philosophy of our Constitution was built on the idea that the minority voice has a seat at the table, right? That's what representative form of government is. That's why we have a bicameral legislature where we have senators and House members that have a vote, and the way that they're provided leverage with that vote is that there's a threshold for votes to pass something, right? 2/3 or, such a percentage of votes. So their vote matters because their vote might be needed in order to pass certain legislations. And in that sense, they can represent their constituents by using that vote, leveraging that vote, right? And they can also represent a wider constituency because we all live in the same country. There's things like the Electoral College, which people lament.
Hey, enough of the civics class. Let's get on with the show.
So anyway, this is the problem that's going on right now is the left is just saying, screw the Constitution, and we're just going to bully everybody into wokeism and communism.
So, yeah, do the commercial.
Yeah, sure. IFA, we got IFA going, and then I think we're supposed to.
There's 3 of them right here.
You know what? I'll mention. Hey, everybody! So
There, Jason, right here.
look up our friends at IFA, Illinois Freedom Alliance. They're doing some great work. In fact, I forget her name, but the new chair of the Rock Island Republican Organization, Illinois, out west, is this woman named Annie. I forget. I'm sure you can look up Rock Island's Republican organization, but she's part of leading IFA, right? And I guess what they had told her was like when they had formed a group like ours, they had told her like, hey, go start your own thing if you could do it better. So she went and started Illinois Freedom Alliance. They raised a bunch of money and they've been real successful. And then when the election came back around, she got elected chair of the Illinois Rock Island Republican organization. So we've got a couple examples of the grassroots fighting back and taking the initiative and taking control. The other example, obviously, is our friend Devin Jones in South Side of Chicago, who is a committeeman out there and started his own Republican organization called the Southside GOP. And obviously, if you've been watching the show, you saw that they had opened their first office on the South Side not too long ago. So grassroots are making some moves, and this is good news for us and our movement.
Annie was on War Room, too, yesterday. I don't know if you guys know that.
Devin?
Annie.
Oh, Annie, yeah.
Annie was on War Room.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, there you go. I mean, we got two examples of grassroots winning in Illinois. So that's good, because there is no Republican Party. We're taking it over.
So there we go. This is really important for part of our before the commercial break. So we have so John Kern. We're going to go back to him and how it's important. What's going on with D86 tonight, right? With this powerful Marxist school union, teachers union. They're against parents speaking out in the schools. They're pro porn. They don't want us to have a voice in front of the school boards, but they're doing it tonight, and they're trying to throw out the entire school board. And they want to continue with this revisionist history, which is leading to what the whole purpose of their protest is tonight. So Curran keeps taking money from this union. Here, can you show that now, Jason? Yeah. Right there. So, matter of fact, it's a good thing we got. So if you look on the very top one, UA Political Education Committee, I think that's Pipe Fitter Union. So Curran's a Republican, right? Curran voted for Amendment 1. Paul already told you about how bad that is. So that top one, this is just a snapshot of his top 25. That's a union. Right under that, IPACE, right?
That's the teachers.
That's the union that's out there right now trying to get the school board fired because they don't do the wokeness.
Terry, look at that. That's February 9th, 2024. And so he took money from them.
50 grand from them.
He took money from them in 2022. Yep. To go around and advocate for Amendment 1, which is a fourth branch of government.
Yep. So that's real important. The IPACE one. So under that,
in this gun violence prevention.
Yeah, we're working. Yeah, we're working our way down.
He's a Republican.
So yeah, you guys listen, people.
Civilian disarmament.
Paul and I and all of us are being attacked. We go after the other side. All you guys know that, right? Don't go after Republicans. They're not Republicans.
They're not Republicans.
He's not a Republican. Look at Luna. You know what that is? That's the Labor International Union. 100 years of ties to mob and organized crime. 100 years. Look it up. I'm going to show it to you. My friend's father was the BA there, called before Congress in the 80s before he was killed. He was killed in a mob hit. John Ficaretta.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the BA there. I mean, I'm going to post all this stuff. So Luna has ties. I know in time they thinned out the organized crime influence, but all the mob bosses and stuff, they got rid of them. But there's influences, right? I mean, there's influences.
Ties. Let's call it ties.
So the next one is gun violence. So yes, that was in 2018. That gun violence prevention, I looked that up too. You know what they are? Totally anti-gun.
Yeah, they're a civilian disarmament group.
Yes.
No civilian should own firearms.
They want to sue the firearm manufacturers. So if some whack job kills somebody, they want to have the opportunity to sue them. Go look. You guys got to go look up. This is from Curran's site of his donors, right? So if somebody gets drunk and kills somebody in a car, you're going to sue Chevy or Chrysler or whoever. The next one, Mark Energy, that's nothing. The other one, that's educational. I forgot what union that is, right? But the next one's very interesting. Rivers Casino. Probably some of you guys go there, and Rosemont. Val, you probably go there, right?
So we talked about the interesting part of this, right? And we're not saying.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Yep.
We're not saying anything. I'm just going to read from an article when Don Tracy, the new chair of the Illinois GOP, when he was
wait, disclaimer here. We're not saying Curran is tied to the mob.
No,
we're not
no,
saying Tracy. None of those guys. What we're saying is they're getting dirty money from organizations that have ties.
that have
Had
been
or
said to
has
have
ties.
Yeah,
To organized crime. Absolutely.
right. Okay, so Don Tracy, right?
Who's Don Tracy?
Chair of the Illinois GOP, when he was elected or when he was chosen to be chair, this State Journal Register came out with an article, and they pointed out that Tracy had been appointed. Now, number one, Tracy had formerly ran as a Democrat for the state Senate. So, I mean, and this isn't an article I wrote for the Gateway Pundit. I'm like, that Terry and I talk about it all the time. Like the point that Terry just made earlier. We go after these Republicans because they're not Republicans. The things that they advocate for are things that Republicans would never do. And for example, running, not too long ago as a Democrat for the state Senate is now the Illinois GOP chair. So in this State Journal Register article, it mentions appointed gaming board chairman by Governor Bruce Rauner in 2015, the Illinois Executive Inspector General in 2019 found that Tracy engaged in improper political activity by making campaign contributions. While on the board, Tracy dismissed the claims but resigned before his 4-year term ended.
The gaming board, as you're saying.
The gaming
I
board.
wonder if
He resigned.
Do you think he introduced Curran to the casino
Well, I mean,
to get the money from the casino? It's one of his top donors.
wasn't 2019? Wasn't that when some of that Rivers Casino stuff was going on?
So
Interesting.
So Rivers Casino was fined the biggest in the history of Illinois for gambling fines, $1.6 million. You know why? Because River Casino had ties to organized crime contractors from a security perspective, from I think cleaning perspective, right? So then we'll go. So if you guys remember, at the top there's Luna Labor's Union. Then you go right below Rivers Casino. There's Luna Chicago Labor's District Council Pact. Luna again. Just look it up. Please go search it and look who they are, right? So, again, 100 years ties to organized crime, mob influence. As it gets closer to this date and time, there's less, but there's still, it just came out. And I sent you an article on the Department of Justice last year.
Yeah.
Talking about them and the Teamsters. Oh, we don't have the Teamsters. The Teamsters are on this list too.
Yeah.
I don't have those here. So, again, we're not saying that Curran is tied with organized crime. We're saying he's getting money from them. And maybe that's why he won't speak out, and he's signed up for Amendment 1. He won't speak out against the porn because he's getting the money from there's another teachers union as well. He's getting money from them. He's getting money from a whole bunch, way more than this, unions. He turns his back on us and voted to change our Constitution for Amendment 1 that lets the unions vote to strike for anything. That gives them an opportunity to go into any politician at the state level union. Hey, we want X, Y, and Z, Governor's Pritzker, and Pritzker can say, well, I don't want to. Then the unions will say, you know what? Screw you. We're striking. We want porn back in the school. Oh, like these. Watch what happens tonight at the 86. If they don't get their way, they could say, hey, we're going to strike. We want to remove the school board. That's what Amendment 1 did. And Curran said this is not the hill to die on. Yes, it is. You know what, Curran? I said this before. That's the hill you died on, man. You're dead. I'm sorry, dead politically. Dead politically.
Oh my God.
Dead politically.
You better watch it.
Dead politically.
You're gonna have some
politically, please. Politically.
Yeah. Just one mention on that gun violence prevention pack. So the reason we call that out is obvious. Gun violence prevention sounds great, right? I mean, it's good marketing, but obviously what the gun violence prevention pact does is try to limit gun rights because they suggest that guns are the bad guy and not the people. So some of their accomplishments of holding the gun industry members accountable, so just making it harder for gun industry to sell guns, banning military style weapons, which everybody should have the right to own a gun if they're responsible gun owners. So they
would ban muskets if it was 1776.
I mean, and that's the argument. It's and you know what? Now
you could drop that, Jay. We went through the list.
And Terry, the irony of it all.
They want to see our beautiful faces.
The irony of it all with the gun thing is that not these states like Illinois, New York, California, they're deciding to go after cops, make it harder for cops to do their job. And then in Illinois, and I know they did this in California and New York as well, something similar. They created the Safety Act, which instituted cashless bail for violent criminals, right? So you just saw a cop got killed the other day just coming off of duty, right? The carjacking went wrong. Presumably an ex-offender killed him. Just because I know that's basically what's been happening. The other, like a week ago, I saw a story
You
where
don't have to say ex-offender for me. Say a felon.
felon. Like a week ago, I saw a story where a felon was out on bail out because he wasn't put in jail, stabbed an 11-year-old to death. His baby mama's 11-year-old boy to death, right? This is the kind of stuff that's happening, and so they're making crime easier. They're making violent crime easier to happen. They're making our streets lawless. On top of that, they're introducing a new level of crime with all the illegals. We don't know their backgrounds. They're coming in. Terry did FOIAs to find out that there were over 200 reports within the calendar year at in Chicago, and then at the Pilsen facility there were over 100, including human trafficking, which you'll see that.
But here's the kicker:
story.
There was only of the 200 incidences, all kinds of crime. There was only 21 arrests.
Right
at the Pilsen, of the 100, I think there was 3 or 4 arrests. So the police are being told not to arrest them. It's not the police.
There you go. But they're going to take our guns away. So they're going to take away our ability to defend ourselves, and then they're going to make it easier for violent criminals to come after us.
But the legals, that judge wants to give the illegals guns in Chicago.
And you know what they did? They gave them the same kind of driver's license we have. So now we don't know. We can't distinguish between a citizen driver's license or an illegal driver's license in Illinois.
So being that I have ADD, I got to backtrack again, right?
Yeah.
Because I had a list.
We got on a tangent anyway.
Yeah, I did interview with Emerald Robinson. You guys are going to see it on Facebook. It talks about Curran and my good friend Mendick. And I didn't have time to write down all the unions.
I hear he doesn't like me.
Yeah, Mendick. So here's the unions. Some of them: Luna, 2 of them. IBEW, Teamsters, IUOE, Chicago Plumbers, North Central Illinois Labor Council, Firefighters, the Police Union, Sheet Metal Union, Chicago Land Operators, Labor's Legislative Committee. I got like all kinds of them. So this guy's a Republican, right?
Follow the money.
And so, yes, you're supposed to represent everybody, but these unions bought his vote to make it a partisan vote. Nonpartisan.
But he doesn't work for the unions.
Yeah.
He works for the taxpayer, for the voter.
So we have to primary him. We have to primary him.
Yeah, we got to get rid of them all. I mean, none of them are going to do anything to help out, the people who are Republican, the voters. Because they don't actually advocate for them. They advocate for what you just showed, which is the people who pay into their campaign coffers.
Yeah,
that's the problem with the whole country. But
so we should pivot into men. Did you see the Emerald interview or no?
I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, it was good.
Pivot and amend it. Go ahead. You could start a little bit. I don't know if you saw It's pretty interesting. Everything I said was factual. I didn't lie, exaggerate about anything in that. And
yeah, well, so Terry and I obviously have had a bit of a rivalry going on with our local Republican organization, the Illinois GOP overall, and we get accused.
Did you talk about the emails tonight too? I'm letting you talk so I can just sit back and listen.
Yeah, so I did a story on
the emails tonight too that we didn't get to as well, even though you're.
Which ones?
The DGTRO emails. Everybody that's except the precincts are not being represented because the ones that don't get along with them.
Well, first of all,
I know,
we should talk about what happened.
I'm jumping
right?
all over the place.
No. Well, so they went after us because we challenged them. We challenged them because we
had to talk quick about that because we told this
we
is
got
a rerun,
censored, yada yada. But now, so they went full authoritarian. They lost 40% of their organization. They put
stop.
the sheriff in as the vice chair.
I'm stopping you now because you didn't get the email. And I forgot to tell you. They're saying they got 88% fill rate or something like that, right? Well, what they didn't say was that the rate before they made the smaller district.
What's fill rate?
The fill rate of committeemen, or I'm
But they
talking
don't.
Southside Dago.
What do they have,
They said they have
60
86 now, 86%, because the district shrunk. So the district was this big, now it's this big, so they have less.
But here's the thing: they went from 150 precincts to like 102 or 3,
something like that. So now they're saying they're
far as I
claiming
know-
victory that they have the same amount of committeemen before it shrunk. So the number went up not because they recruited more, because our district shrunk.
Well, I'll tell you why that's bullshit. For elected committeemen, they only filled 60% of their
Hey,
organization.
Jason, as we move on
So-
here, I need you to get that Bolts meme that you sent me.
So one of the things that they can do is they can appoint committeemen, right, who aren't elected. Because a committeeman, for anybody who doesn't know, a precinct committeeman either in the Republican Party or the Democrat Party is actually an elected positions. During these positions are elected during the primary, and a committeeman goes around and in his or her neighborhood and advocates for candidates, passes out materials, informs people what's going on politically within the party, and so forth. So why that's bullshit is they have appointed committeemen, which are called loops or lips, which is like I forgot what the acronym stands for, but they're basically appointed committeemen. So for elected committeemen, they only had 60 something.
What's a lip?
I don't want to make a joke on that. It could be bad. You got is that a canker sore you got there? Or what? No, you've been eating too much seafood. What's going on here? So I saw a list the other day. They're claiming 80% now because they appointed probably like 20 more, but they only had 60 people elected, and that was because instead of going after towns like Westmont or Burr Ridge or anywhere other than just Downers Grove, because a township is made up of multiple towns or villages, they decided to go after people like Terry, myself, and 2 other committeemen who dissented, who didn't agree with the leadership, who didn't agree with what was going on, and they didn't go after any other areas. So they're phonies. They're not about advocating for freedom, for fighting against communism and what the Democrats are all about. They don't want to speak up about porn in schools. They don't want to speak up about a radical communist library board removing a conservative from the board simply because he disagrees with them. They don't come to any of the meetings and speak up for the Republican constituents who don't want drag queen story hour at the library or pride story time for 2 to 6 year olds, which we'll cover in a second. They don't support any of that stuff. And while the left is putting these people in school boards and on library boards who want to introduce sexualized material to children, like genderqueer in the high schools and the junior highs, where 2 boys are blowing each other in the book. It's a picture, or they're going to do pride story time for 2 to 6 year olds. They don't care about speaking out against that stuff. They don't care about advocating or putting money into candidates that would be against that kind of stuff. Because what they say is, the school boards and the library boards and that stuff, that shouldn't be political. That should be apolitical. The institutions should be apolitical. Like, well, they're not apolitical. The left is going after our kids. They're putting porn books into the library. They're putting porn books into the school. They're bringing in radical activist organizations to speak to our kids in our health classes about how There's no difference between the genders. That you can pick and choose your gender at your will. That kindergartners can be sexualized. That you can decide that you're gay whenever you want. So there's all kinds of this stuff going on, and they call us rhinos, and they call us the bad guys because we're going after Republicans. Oh, we have to come together, right? We have to come together. We can't be. Well, okay, if we come together as quote unquote Republicans in support of communist policy, then how are we calling ourselves Republicans? It's just a fake facade. Then.
So let's wake them up a little bit. So, hey, Jason, show us the nice meme that you should. Oh, that's not up there yet.
That was a little hard to talk over there. There's some stuff going on in the background.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some people do know that lived with them. No, but anyway.
Let's speak the language then.
Okay.
All right. Let's. What do we got going on here?
Hold on. I don't even know. I can't find
So I was talking about. Are you trying to put that meme up?
Yeah, we're gonna show our assessor.
So well, and I heard.
There we go. All right. So sorry, I know people. The show's got some folks national, but Jason, our producer guy, found this in our one of the guys that came after us was our assessor. Do we say his name or no?
I don't care.
Yeah, Greg Bolts. Look at Greg Bolts there. He just came home from work. He's here. He's looking for me and Paul. This is right down. This is on Main Street in Downers Grove. He's like, where are they?
Well. So this guy, I heard from a little birdie that he got a pat on the back the other day.
Yeah, he was like promoted to the chief operating officer for getting rid of our team, right? They've been doing this forever.
So this guy is the township assessor, but he's, he's a political operative, and he's pretty savvy, and he's been able to, compile a fundraising war chest, and he basically was ousted because he's a control freak, and he's obsessed, and he politicizes the tragedies in his family.
Everything. Don't say that. You're going to get in trouble.
He does. He politicizes the tragedies in the family. First of all, it's creepy that, certain tragedies happened to this guy, and he was like,
every sentence
there the next 2 days, like trying to get sympathy for himself in a political context, at the township level. It's creepy. It's creepy. It's obsessive. It's sociopathic. And he basically got voted off the island 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
out of desperation.
And we got destroyed. The Republicans got destroyed in 2022 municipals. Didn't win shit for school board. Didn't win shit for
perfect weather.
Didn't win shit for municipals, and it's because that guy took his money and cried and went home and didn't help anybody, even though he was the fundraising king. And now this time, when they have trouble with you and me, he brings his money back and he weaponizes it against Republicans.
So we're going to talk about that nasty bastard. What's his name? Big Fat Bastard from what was that movie?
Austin Powers.
Austin Powers. Put that back up there, kid. Is it too hard?
Billy.
It's like, I swear to God, you guys, for those of you who don't know, this looks exactly
you think it's
like
uncanny?
him. It looks, it's like crazy. And I thought you didn't even make that, right, Jason?
No, I just found it online.
So at first I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, what a terrific, I thought he used AI and stuff. And like,
oh, you didn't?
I thought he made it.
Yeah, no, I found it.
Oh, I thought that was
an crazy. AI. So look at that.
I thought that was an AI.
It looks exactly like him.
Is that a real
Except
guy?
we need a cane in one of his hands there. We need a cane.
Are those
hair?
Yeah, it looks just like
10
him.
years ago.
That's incredible, man.
Are those?
All right, Greg. Hey, Greg, you're on. I remember when you called me when you brought the meatloaf. You thought you were going to bribe me with meatloaf because the guy likes to eat so much. So he brings over a pan of meatloaf while I'm fighting cancer. I was under treatment for stage 4 cancer. I'm not looking for sympathy, but I'm trying to throw it back in their face because our chairman had cancer, and I'm calling them out, and they're like, "Oh, bully, bully, bully." Well, those guys were attacking me when I had cancer.
By the way, I get sick of this bully bullshit. Okay, so we've been accused of being bullies. In fact, our sheriff, who is now
The chief
seated
bully.
in the he's the second most powerful in the political organization, accused Terry and I of being bullies. It doesn't work like that.
He's the
when
bully,
you are the one in power. When you are the one with political power, when you are the one with law enforcement power, it's not the people at the bottom of the food chain of the political organization who are speaking out against you and your power that are the bullies, you moron. You're just not a smart guy.
So we're going to wake you guys up. So I'm sorry, we're talking about local stuff for those of you guys that are national, right? So let me set this next.
No, it
clip.
all matters, man. This kind of shit is happening all over the country.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, actually, it is. It is. It's
all-
we keep talking about the same thing again. So because Bill was supposed to be here, we had another topic, so we're kind of winging it. So let me set this next video up, you guys. This is incredible. So last week, my daughter was in a state art contest, and she got a blue ribbon or whatever. I don't know. It was a big deal, but. So I had to go out to 35th and Ashland in the inner city, and I was late. I couldn't get ready with the family, so I had to drive by myself. When I was driving out there to this art contest, a bunch of motorcycles. There was a couple hundred of them. You're going to see it in the video. And I saw them doing wheelies, burnouts, driving on the sidewalk. It's not far from a legal shelter. So I'm not saying they're Venezuelans. Let me be very, very clear that they're not Venezuelans to buy new motorcycles like that. But there was very expensive motorcycles. There was the three-wheeler carts. There was all kinds of stuff, down to little cheap little dirt bikes. But most of them, probably half of them, were not even street legal. They were quad racers, four-wheel quad racers, little dirt bikes, little scooters. Almost 95% of them did not have license plates. So there's only a few, and some of them paperless. So I walked across in the middle of them. I'm walking around smiling I'm like, hey, nice bike, but I'm really getting it for this video that we're going to show you guys in a second. So I took videos of these guys. I'd say 90% of them speaking Spanish, and this is a little debate I'm having with my producer. So I want the audience to judge this. 90% of them spoke Spanish. The African American guys, my producer said they're black. Well, they're Cubans, they're Puerto Ricans, they're speaking Spanish. I said this is illegal immigrants riding crazy through the city of Chicago. Are all of them that? No, of course they're not. Of course they're not. But many of them are. Many of them don't have licenses. Almost all of them didn't have license plates. Most of them are driving illegally. They're driving on the medians. They're driving on the sidewalks. They're doing burnouts in the middle of the street. So that's kind of a level set. I went back there to film again, and I took my son with me. My wife was mad. I brought my son with me. I said, stay behind Dad, just smile. So that's the video when I went back with my kid, and we're going to show it to you, and it's crazy. Crazy.
This is going to be in the next Fast and Furious movie.
Sounds better.
Wow, that's a lot.
Did you see this? This is the middle, man.
Is that a four-wheeler? See, I go on rides where people they go on rides. What is it?
Oh, you didn't see us, huh?
What is that
Fall friends.
There's the license plate.
My kid is like,
That can't be legal.
They were driving on that.
Honestly, it took a lot of
Escape from the road. They had it too hard, right?
Wow, it goes on for a while.
Oh, that sounds like White Rock there, right there to me. Here's my son. He's all nervous. He couldn't even hold the camera right. Watch, I get mad at him. I want him to talk. He's like, here. All right, so we got a bunch of the league. Bunch of the league. No license plates. Going throughout the city of Chicago. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, sorry. He's like, oh, so my son was with me, and he was nervous. I said, just stand behind Dad and smile.
I
Just smile.
I think that was a parade.
So
thing.
I want to have a vote here, right? So
think I
I'm
saw-
debating with Jason. Oh, those aren't illegals. I'm not saying all 200 of them are. I'm saying a good deal of them are illegals. They all spoke Spanish except for maybe 10% of them, including the black ones, which are Cubans or Puerto Ricans. All right, and they're driving motorcycles without license plates. Now, tell me what you think.
No comprende.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm gonna have to disagree.
I
of
think,
course you were.
like,
But
in
you did hear
groups
that
like
one. You hear
this,
that music
you
on the way.
know,
I
they're
think
just
that-
diverse
I think
groups,
that
man.
music down there. One vehicle went by. Was that Ted Nugent?
I think it
That
comes
was not
Ted
Ted
Nugent?
in
Nugent.
Spanish. Ted Nugent in Spanish.
Just because you're on the west and north side or wherever the hell you were.
And speaking Spanish and driving without
You
license
gotta
plates.
I think we
and
cut it
doing
off.
donuts.
I think we cut it
yeah,
off a
it's
little
like-
early. I thought I saw in the back. I thought I saw those guys with the fezzes on the tiny little bikes.
Yeah.
They were the back of the parade, right?
The Shriners.
Yeah, the
came-
Shriners.
Yeah,
came
they're a bunch
through
of those old
later,
white
too.
guys are back there.
Yeah. They were juggling those bowling pin things.
Yeah, while they're riding the little mini bikes.
Yeah. So,
So that's crazy. So you know what? No police. Just so you know, I went there. They were there. I went to the art show. I told my son, "You better get out here. You want to see this?" And I took him back there. Wife wasn't happy. Son was like, "Dad, should I stay in the car?" I'm like, "No, come on, just stay behind me and smile."
that was a lot. That was a lot of people. That was
Yeah,
a
I
lot
was
of
like,
bikes.
Dad, I want a motorcycle.
He did. He said that after that.
I
He said that. He goes, "Can I get a bike?" I'm like, "Where are you going to ride it? On Ashland?"
think
It's like,
those three wheelers are kind of cool looking too. I think we should
Teach 'em while
I
they're
think
younger,
so,
so they're-
Bill was supposed to be on today, so I think we should donate a little time to what happened to him last week. So he got removed from the board basically for disagreeing. I talked about it earlier. Now, one of the interesting things before last week, so the board, there's a few things that are going on here, Terry, right? This is the guy, the lone dissenting voice when they tried to do Drag Queen Story Hour at our library about a year ago, right? And at the time, we packed the Village Hall, right? We packed it. Basically, everybody spoke out against it. And then they claimed that they didn't do the event because of threats. That this is what they always say, that because we got threats and we didn't feel it was safe. Well, they think we're stupid and we don't know how to FOIA. So people FOIA'd both the library.
I did the post office threat too.
He
It was
did.
all
Yeah, that's
bullshit.
right.
It was
That's
all
right.
bullshit.
That's right.
So yes, people made threats, but they weren't considered viable threats.
Yeah, exactly. The cops, we FOIA'd and we asked the police, and the police had said there was never any credible threat. So there was no reason for them to cancel it. Besides the fact that everybody didn't want it, right? Well, now we had a library board say that they wanted to censure our friend Bill Nienburg, the lone conservative on the board. They said that, and that was the goal of their last meeting. And then
Jason.
when the meeting
Let's
happened,
go to him.
they decided that they were going to do that they were going to vote to remove him. We're changing it. We're going to vote to remove him. And one of the things that they have to do is they have to send it to the village council, because the library board serves at the pleasure of the village council. They're not, our library board in Downers Grove is not elected, it is appointed by our village council. So there's a lot of people who didn't want this. There's a lot of people who said he's the only conservative on the board, and you're voting to kick him off. And they were voting on some minor procedural issue in that the Bill Nienburg shared supposedly draft documentation and with a constituent, and the constituent tried to open it, and it was a security risk and so forth. Well, people had reviewed their bylaws, and people had reviewed the laws and how the village council set things up, and technically Bill hadn't broke any of the rules. Well, they put it to the village council. The village council decided they were going to vote on it. They were going to investigate it first, and then they were going to vote on it. So then the village council puts out the agenda, right? And we noticed that it's the agenda is saying that they're going to vote. They're going to decide based on former precedent. That the library board serves at the pleasure of the village council, and they can make the decision. One of our Patriot constituents looked at the existing statutes in Illinois and found out, no, they can't remove him without proper evidence of misconduct. And misconduct is defined clearly in this particular Illinois statute that the constituent sent to the village council and quoted. And so they then less than 24 hours before the meeting changed the agenda to say that they were considering removing him because of misconduct to cover that statute. So the emperor has no clothes. So during the meeting, I was one of the people that spoke. We had probably 99%, in support of Bill Nienburg, and constituents saying that this is bad optics, right? It doesn't look like he's broken any rules. Repeatedly, the reasons given was that he's not collaborative, or he's not easy to work with, and he misses board meetings because he owns his own business, by the way, and he travels frequently. And so none of it had any grounding in constitutionality or what this country was built upon, which is dissent and debate within the public forum, citizens dissenting and debating in the public forum, and that being what guides their representatives in creating policy and legislating. So, Jason, if you want to pull up that YouTube video, and we'll just play the we have a couple radical leftists on our village board, and we'll just let them speak for themselves and tell you, and we'll let Leslie Sadowski-Fugit.
I hate that. Yeah.
We're just gonna let you tell her tell you what she thinks about this, and why she decided to vote against the 99% of people, and decided that she and the other leftists just wanted extra power.
Anybody on the council want to start a conversation about this? We need to talk about this here. We need to get going and have a conversation. Leslie, go ahead.
Great. There have been a lot of rumors flying around about tonight's vote. If you're looking to my clarity as to why I support this, I have no doubt that FOIAs of my rationale that I have provided to Trustee Nienburg are floating around, and he has yet to respond to my email. However, I am not going to use my position up here to publicly discuss the details of an individual's appointment or removal, as that is left for executive session. Again, you are welcome to FOIA my emails if you would like it, but I don't think it's appropriate. It would be like HR speaking with other staff members about their business. I will simply state that there is ample evidence to support that Trustee Nienburg has not acted in the best interests of the Downers Grove Public Library, and in some cases disparaged marginalized populations and minimized their harassment by board meeting attendees. He consistently comes to meetings of those which he attends unprepared, This goes against the bylaws and creates an unsafe work environment for staff and fellow trustees. Coaching and conversations have been offered from my understanding. And in my case, after I was supposed to meet with him and my daughter ended up sick, so I had to cancel a coffee because I had to stay home with her from school. Despite reaching out to reschedule that offer, I was never taken up on it again. I know I'm not the only one who had that happen, and due to these reasons, I support his removal on the basis of neglect and misconduct of office. I want to be extremely clear that the 7 of us sit up here week after week with vastly different values and views on governance. We agree on a lot of issues and we disagree on some, but at no point have I ever felt unsafe as a result of our interactions, or felt as though any of my colleagues are actively trying to cause harm or disruption to our village and its services. Unfortunately, from what I have seen, I cannot say the same for Trustee Nienburg and his relationship with fellow trustees. Many of my colleagues in the past have stated that removing Trustee Nienburg will not fix the problem at the library and have used this as a reason not to vote for this motion. But I think that's why we must move this forward and also be vocal in condemning the accusations and assaults that have been hurled at the library, at members of the LGBTQ+ community, and those wishing to teach a more inclusive version of history. Because this has nothing to do with political affiliations and everything to deal
He's a lying piece of shit. Sorry, Don.
extremism that is taking hold not just here in Downers Grove or the western suburbs, but the entirety of the country. And I understand that may mean upsetting some of our base, but in reality, we need to be acting on behalf of the whole community's interests. In fact, I talk to my conservative neighbors, I'm sure everybody is shocked, all the time at the bus stop, walking around, about the library. And I haven't met one that for the life of them can understand why there is a contingent of people who do not patronize the library and yet have a lot of feelings about what it should and shouldn't be. While my neighbors may not have understood Drag Queen Bingo, and they didn't, they recognized that it was an event that was for them. And they believed that it must have held values for some and simply chose not to attend. An event, I might add, and has been repeated here today, that Trustee Nienburg said was not the best of what we had to offer, except that it was an event that was planned in coordination with youth LGBTQ+ groups, meant to be a lighthearted celebration for National Coming Out Day. You see, we all too often spend that day discussing the fight for LGBTQ rights and the pain the community has faced rather than celebrating their existence and individuality. The event was meant to be joyful, planned in part by the LGBTQ community members who were going to be attending. And instead, it turned into fear and cancellation as a result of threats. And yes, the Downers Grove Police Department has told me themselves that they considered them threats. And an almost 2-year-long crusade against the library. And this is why we have statistics like LGBTQ+ youth are more likely to face threats of violence and are 4 times as likely to contemplate suicide. Because instead of celebrating everyone's basic humanity, this is what we've turned this into.
Shit I've heard about.
Yeah, listen. So go ahead, pause it. It's done.
I've also heard from colleagues that the library has been.
All right, so I'm going to Hey, Don Krause, I'm sure you're watching because I know you connected with Paul, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time because you're very spiritual. This woman's a lying piece of shit Marxist, all right? She's a scumbag. I had, little confrontations with her on the internet, I guess you would say. Bill Nienburg never threw. The only people that are getting threatened are our side, right? And so they talk about the drag queen bingo. You know what I found out when this was going on? I looked up Aurora Divine. Unfortunately, the guy's an Italian transvestite. So it's kind of embarrassing for you Italian brothers out there. So these scumbags hired an Italian transvestite that performs in Boys Town. And I found his advertisement. He's got a beard and stuff and a wig and heels. And his advertisement said he's the most raunchy, nastiest performer in Boys Town. It's the north side gay part of town, right? That's who they hired. They didn't hire some little drag queen. So they're supposed to play drag bingo and sing Katy Perry songs with the most raunchous, nasty scumbag in Boys Town.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah, that's what he called himself. I mean, I'm sure it's still out there, right? God, there's so many things I want to talk about. I can't remember because I'm like, all the lumps on my head and all the stuff I had in the 80s, the fights, the drugs.
Well, I mean, it was all conjecture as like, her saying that he didn't provide a safe space. But the bottom line,
Wait, didn't Bill just get
Bottom
threatened?
line is they
Yeah,
want
Bill
group
did.
kids.
Yeah.
He
Talk
was
about that.
stopping them.
yeah, right. And Bill got, and you saw like, so they doubled down, right? She advocated once again for Drag Queen Story Hour. And again, the point here is that they stopped that event from happening because 99% of the constituency threw up their hands and were like, absolutely not. The same thing happened here, and they're tired of not being able to use their power. So they just said, we're going to get rid of him. And Jason, if you could pull up, I find this highly coincidental. I don't believe in coincidences, Terry, but
Jesus, yeah.
but shortly after they decided that they were going to put it to a vote to the village council that they were going to vote to remove Bill from the board, and obviously, you heard Miss Fugit mention that the
Sorry.
what are we doing here?
Sorry.
Mentioned that that Drag Queen Story Hour is one of the hot button topics that was up there. Shortly after this all went down, they announced this at the Downers Grove Public Library: Pride Story Time. So this is during Pride Month, and this is going to be. Join us for a librarian-led family story time filled with picture books, stories, and songs that celebrate Pride Month. Ages 2 to 6. Now, Terry, tell me
Kids
what
get out of diapers like
what
at once,
what
right?
in the name what possibly would a 2 to 6 year old need to know about LGBTQ? Because
They need to know
inevitably,
how to bite a pillow.
that's pretty good, Jason. Also disgusting because we're talking about 2 to 6 year olds. So let's clean it up, producer Jason.
Well, why else would they be
Yeah,
there?
well, no, and and that's my point is, inevitably you have to bring the sexualization aspect into this because you're going to have to explain, the context of whatever pride, book or story that you're reading to these kids is. And 2 to 6 year olds have no concept for sexuality, and there's a reason for that. Their minds are barely developed at all.
Just So just be. There's so many things I should have wrote down. I see people when they do speeches, they write down, and like my memory's shot. But she said about the threats. So yes, there was threats. All of them were deemed as not being credible threats. Every single
Which
one of them.
probably
By
means
the
they
police.
were from
She
left-wing
lied.
people
Like the
acting
bullet.
as right
The
wingers
bullet
anonymously.
with the Trump MAGA flag and
Yeah.
the Confederate flag.
It was completely ridiculous.
It was leftists that set that in.
It's totally ridiculous.
She's a liar. The woman's a liar. Bill, they felt unsafe. No, we feel unsafe. They're the ones that attack us.
I know somebody who lives in her neighborhood, and after last week's village council meeting, that person told me that she had police at her house protecting her all weekend.
Oh, D99, the school board meeting that I went to, they had 2 law enforcement agencies right here back when we were talking about porn. And you know what? Who got threatened? Our side again. They called the police. I got the FOIAs, remember? They were reaching out to the police for protection. They do this on purpose to try to give the assumption that we're the ones that are creating the threat and violence and all this other. They're creating that stuff.
So we won't play it, but one of the board members, Martin Tully, who's conservative, he brought up the very specific points here that that they needed to remove Bill based on the Illinois statute that says that says that board members have to be, the only way that they can be removed is via misconduct, basically. And so Martin Tully had explained pretty easily and straightforwardly that, that this standard was not met. Now, another board member from the left side, I'll disagreed with that, said, oh, we removed Jaros on, on these grounds a couple years back. Well, one of our constituents pointed out, yeah, but that was prior to the pandemic, and that's when this new statute came into play. So again, Martin Tully pointed out, according to all the evidence, Bill had not engaged in any misconduct according to their own bylaws, right? Their own bylaws don't say anywhere in there, and They accuse him of misconduct based on certain things that he did that they cite. And then Martin went back and said, right, you guys said that he did X, Y, and Z, and you said that it was against your bylaws. But he's like, I'm reading the bylaws, and none of it is against the bylaws.
So hold on a second. I'm like getting bored as hell, man. I'm like done with this show today. And so I'll let Paul close this out. But next week,
We're done.
Next week, I have Jeffrey Korsenik. Jeffrey Korsenik is the chief economist for Fifth Third Bank, right? He wrote a book called
Look at you.
Untapped Talent, and it's about ex-offenders. So I'm going to talk about coming out of my concrete closet. So you hear about Sheriff Mendricks
Concrete closet.
attacking me. You know how the gays come out of the closet? Well, I'm coming out of my concrete felon closet from
Better
35
watch all
years
that talk
ago.
about mob. You're going to be wearing concrete shoes
Yeah,
sooner
after
or
this
later.
show, yeah. Well, I was supposed to have that 35 years. So maybe you'll hear some of that. I was supposed to be killed like 35 years ago, but I'm still here.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I'm still surviving.
He's scrappy, that's why.
And so he's going to be on. We're going to talk about his book. We're not going to talk about any politics. I'm going to be by myself, talk about some of my story. You know, Paul's going to be gracious and let me. You know, it's going to be some of the things about Jeff's book, about what he's seen about ex-offenders having an opportunity to get employed and different things, and some of the stuff that I've been involved in and how I transformed my life. And I think the week after we'll have another guest on talking about a different topic, but we will talk about how Sheriff Mendrick talks about how he lowers recidivism in helping ex-offenders, but he tried to pummel me and attack me and my family and go after my job.
Right.
Just because I had a political difference with him. So he's not doing God's work like he says on Facebook.
Whilst, good word there, taking money from an ex-offender. Not only an ex-offender.
Yes.
Not only an ex-offender.
Yeah.
A registered sexual offender.
Well, people really noticed when he bent the knee to Deb Conroy over the
Oh, he did that?
gun,
So did he do it?
gun stuff.
Yeah,
And he said, well, we just, at first he was saying, well, we're not going to do this. And he's like, well, we're not going to go out and look for it, you know, after they threatened to pull his funding.
Oh, that's right. So he stood up as a tough guy when there's like 100 sheriffs or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All of a sudden,
they
when they
all-
came after him,
They said they were going to
that's
pull his
right.
funding, and he bent the knee.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sheriff-
ever since then, he has been on a downward spiral.
He's a punk, right? Straight up, you know. If
No,
he-
he threatened me 3 different times.
yeah.
3 different times. He threatened me over email once when this thing first kicked off. Then he threatened me, said I had a police report out on me when I argued with him face to face in a DGTRO meeting. And then recently I reached out to him for comment for a Gateway Pundit piece that I was writing. And he
Attacked me.
He attacked you, and then I asked him to clarify, and he sent an Illinois statute about harassing communications. And I just said,
You're a
I go,
journalist.
hey, look, Sheriff, I'm reaching out to you in my capacity as a journalist to write a story for the Gateway Pundit. Like, I will publish this, and I did. I published it because I saw that as a threat for reaching out for a comment on a media story.
We gotta find
this
someone
is the kind
to
of guy.
primary him.
This is the kind of guy your sheriff is. You know, we wanted to get a comment on him getting donations from a registered sex offender, and he threatens me
And
with
coming after me.
with screenshot of harassing
So-
communication statute.
So I want to talk
You're a
about
public official, pal.
we wanna talk about
the
the-
media can reach out to you for comment on a media story, and I am media, and I don't want to hear any of this crap about me not being media. I'm writing for the Gateway Pundit. Okay, my name's on the story, so. You know what? If you don't want another story written about you, maybe
No, you're going to
comment.
have more. So I want to talk about the breaking news
Unbelievable.
that I discussed with our team.
Find the link on Gateway Pundit.
So I want to find. I
I'll
want
put it
to
up.
talk about the breaking news before. So if some of you guys know from Downers Grove, if you remember, Game Pazzo. Game Pazzo was the first gaming lounge in the country in 2010 to 2013. We're open for 3.5 years. This is one of the biggest gaming centers, actually the first in the country that I opened up in Downers Grove. So another older person called me that used to go to Game Pazzo, and I told Paul about this. So we all know that the sheriff likes to drink the soda. Everyone that knows him closely, he likes to drink the soda. And he has another evil vice. He likes to play 6, 7, 8 hours of gaming.
Sheriff does?
Yes, yeah, he does, and he's got a. So I learned this from one of the fathers that used to go there and saw some of the stuff that's coming out about Mendra coming after me, and told me that Sheriff likes not only to drink soda, but he likes to game like 6, 7, 8 hours a day, like really, really bad.
What's
what
he
was the
playing?
game?
What's he playing? Grand Theft Auto, picking up hookers?
Yes, he does. I swear to God.
8 hours of picking up hookers?
So we're gonna follow up on this, you guys. I'm not lying. I know you got some some.
I'm
Mendick lovers.
joking. That was the first. I wanted to make fun of him for it. That was the first
No,
thing
he
that came to
does.
mind.
He does. And
It's probably what's the big one that everybody plays? That
Modern Warfare,
or no,
Call of
the-
Duty.
Call of Duty. Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
That's a whole
Ca-
one,
Well, the kids.
Oh, is there a new one?
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite.
So for you gamers out there, look it up. They call
he's
me.
probably got a picture of a 14-year-old girl as his profile
Probably
picture.
out there shooting 12.
They called so back when I had that place open, I was still old back then. They called me Papa Terry with my gaming center.
You don't have your dog here. I'd shoot that too.
So for those of you who play Fortnite, Ninja, you know who Ninja is? The kid
Yeah.
makes like $1 million
Yeah.
a month.
He's like the biggest. Yeah.
Yeah, he started at Game Pazzo. He was playing, I don't know if it was Halo or Call of Duty, but I was ahead of my time when we did that, and we won tons of awards. Sheriff Mendick, I think he was just like a lowly prison guard at the time. I don't even know what he was doing. And but this father called me and said, "Hey,
Hey Terry, we should mention this. We're being rebellious here.
Yeah.
Right? There's people that don't want us to talk about this subject.
yeah." So you guys, next week, I'm gonna have
Jason, you
a
want to
big.
throw up that?
Did you find something?
I'm just gonna just so let's rub a little salt in the wound on this guy here. Yeah, just so everybody knows, this is the Gateway Pundit article I wrote, and it's mostly about this guy and his corruption and his
Oh, there's my foot.
in this article, Jason, scroll down a little bit. Let's go down to the video real quick. We don't have to play it, but yeah. Keep going.
There we go.
Keep going. This is when this is when the state police showed up to Terry's house because supposedly he threatened John Curran on his podcast. This was when they passed around a doxing packet on Terry's family listing
From Antifa Associates.
the names of his family, including his children. Keep going a little bit. And then that right there,
there you go. That's
included
it.
in the
Bingo.
packet was all the sex offenders in Terry's neighborhood. So the idea being that Terry's associated with the sex offenders. in
Just
the
to be
neighborhood.
clear, never on an Ambrose show,
course
never
not.
ever insinuated, charged, convicted, joked about a sex. They put that in there on
right.
purpose.
So keep
and then
going
he's
down.
the guy that's taking money from
I
somebody
do
like
have
that.
to say, this is kind of unusual for such an upscale neighborhood.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
did
It
you guys
is.
have
Yeah.
like a
All right, right
Jeff
here.
Epstein
Right here.
Look at that
Express
clown.
flying out of here?
Look at that skinny guy with that beer
That's
belly.
him.
That's his
him.
whiskey
so
belly.
we don't have to play this, but and I was kind of shocked
Look
when
at the guy on the right.
yeah, he's like, what is this? This guy's a joke, right? Well, I was kind of shocked because in this meeting, this idiot admitted to pressuring a private business in his capacity as sheriff, right? He spoke out of both sides of his mouth.
Who's
He's
that
like,
chick on the left? Lorraine, the Grim Reaper Grimsley?
yeah, that's the one that had basically also admitted that she was
Goofy
aware
old bitch.
aware of the packet being distributed. But he admitted to going to a private business on behalf of a political operative to pressure that private business in his capacity as sheriff. So, I mean, I don't know how much more authoritarian and how much more you can abuse your power. But I would not want this guy associated with other Republicans because he's clearly not a Republican. He's all about power. He's all about exercising power. He's all about abusing power. And go check out this article. He says it. He says as much in the video. So, and there's where he's threatening me, sending me the criminal code for harassing communications when I was reaching out to him for comment about taking money from a sex offender. So that's all I got, Terry.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done.
My ADD is like going crazy.
Yeah. So
Oh, wait, we got one more thing. We got the IFA thing
Oh.
you're speaking at this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing we want to mention for our buddy Don Krause.
Look at who's that guy in the bottom left there laughing?
Look at that weirdo.
Well, talk about this, Terry. You're going to be there.
Hold on.
Yeah, so what I'm going to be speaking about is, I think for the folks that have been following us, there's the legal immigration hunting I've been doing, going to the centers, confronting them, catching a drug dealer. I'm going to show these people at this event how the crime is expanding outward beyond the city of Chicago limits, right? And unless we start fighting now together, not just Chicago, but all of us, we have to stop the illegal invasion because they're committing crimes all over the state of Illinois, mostly in Chicago, now going outwards to Oak Brook Mall. There was probably 100 Venezuelans that are shoplifting there and getting arrested. So I'm going to show some of the clips and the confrontations, some of the police reports of...
Did I show the IFA thing up there?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you could come on out. We're going to be out in Quincy.
Quincy, Illinois.
No, and I'm on what's his name? What's his show? Look at Mr. ADD. I can't think straight.
Tomorrow. You're going to be on, tomorrow you're going to be at Red Pill 1776, Zach Payne. He's known for himself, but he's also on Badlands Media, which is a pretty popular channel on Rumble. He does a show with the Devolution guy called Baseless Conspiracies. He does his own show. Real popular guy. He's probably got 100,000 followers on Twitter or X, and he's pretty good. I like him. So you're on them tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow 9 o'clock Central Standard Time.
And then one thing I wanted to mention for our buddy Don. Don's going to hold a protest for the Stop the End of Life Options Act, SB 3499 in Illinois. The protest is on Saturday, April 27th, 10 to 11 a.m. at the sponsor, Linda Holmes' office, 4255 Westbrook Drive, Aurora, Illinois. And this is basically like a euthanasia for people.
For like me.
Yeah.
So Don, he sent me a text. So I got the two kids.
I think if it passes, Mendrick is going to send you the link.
I swear to God, Don sent that to me. He's like,
Terry, you don't look so good.
This is for guys like you.
Terry,
I know, John, you're joking.
Terry, you don't look so good. You might want to consider this. They give out medication. This is obviously... This is a slippery slope. Like, they're trying to introduce the ability for people to kill themselves. They've done that in Canada. And it's the slippery slope thing. It's like, I mean, they did it for people in Canada who had adverse effects from the vaccine. It's like, wait a second. So you force people to take a procedure, then you tell them, hey, why don't you kill yourself? It sounds like you're having a rough time.
Well, you got to remember, 70% of those people that want to kill themselves are Democrats.
No,
that's
okay.
a great stat.
We shouldn't have said that.
I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just. It's very telling.
So thank you. Yeah, we kind of winged it tonight. Our guest kind of blew us off. I'm kidding. Bill didn't blow us off. He was in Atlanta.
Great guy, Bill Nienburg. He's been he's become a pariah because we got communists running the government in Illinois.
Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.